You are listening to Viewpoints from PlaceCloud. Cultural researchers tell stories of places from around the world. For the full multimedia experience and to support the creators you enjoy, visit placecloud.io.
The Dover House estate in Putney was the first estate developed by the London County Council after the First World War, built in the first flush of enthusiasm for the homes for heroes promised by Prime Minister Lloyd George, and it's reckoned by many to be one of their finest. The council bought the 147-acre site in 1919, parkland belonging to the adjacent private estates of Dover House and Putney Park House. The latter survived as the social centre, the wreck to local residents for the new estate. The first homes were begun in the early 1920 under the generous subsidies of Addison's 1919 Housing and Town Planning Act. But by July 1921, when the Addison scheme was axed, just 17 houses had been completed. These cost £1,150 each to build, 3 times the pre-war average. Later houses were built to lower space standards and quality, but by 1927, when the estate was complete, 1,212 homes had been erected, ranging from 5-room houses to 2-room flats, serving around 4,400 people. The homes themselves were built of stock brick, with occasional decorative touches and rough cast rendering to bring variety. Doors and porches were used to add to the cottagey feel of the housing. Roof lines, a range of gable and hipped ends, some houses with first-floor eaves and dormer windows, are varied. It's a full flowering of the arts and crafts and garden and suburb ideals that were powerful at the time. Internally, the homes were of that time, gas-lit with water heated in a downstairs coal-fired copper. But every home had a garden, and many unusually had a side garden, another feature deliberately employed by the planners to add to the estate's vistas and feelings of spaciousness. A prime objective of the LCC's planners was that each group of houses should overlook or have access to a small open space close by. Some of the cottages are arranged around greens, but even in the more conventional streets, terraces are short, often set back, with clusters of homes possessing an intimacy and identity. Mature trees were retained and new ones planted. Footways included wide grass verges. In the estate as a whole, 9 acres of allotments, and the estate's major open space, the Pleasance, completed that semi-rural feel. Even the new school on Huntingtonville Road, opened in 1925, was described as a pavilion type, approximating to the lines of a sanatorium. This was a new working-class community. Some said it wasn't as intimate and friendly as the old terrace streets. It was more home and family-centred, and for many of the men in particular, the garden took centre stage. This was a respectable community, and the LCC ensured no pubs were built on the estate. Tenants were carefully selected, as one resident recalls, quote, "The earliest people here were chosen. They were chosen to come because they all had a steady job, and they were also chosen on what they looked like. They were very careful who they brought here. You just couldn't move here because you said you wanted to live here." End quote. With rents reaching £1.50 a week, when a decent working-class wage stood at around £3, this was a relatively affluent community. Many of them worked for the council, or for the police, the post office, or public transport. That gave the estate its local nickname, Uniform Town. By 1931, it was even reckoned that 37% of heads of household were white-collar workers, whilst around 34% belonged to the skilled working class. It was said that some families even had maids. In 1932, the council suggested 201 of the more well-to-do tenants should move to houses that they could afford to purchase. The estate's quality and relative exclusivity remains. It was declared a conservation area in 1978. In 2011, with much of its housing purchased under right to buy, the Evening Standard declared it a charming enclave on the western edge of Putney.